that I do with a little community here in Tampa that we call The Well, known as The Well. I think context is really important though, so I want to take like maybe the bulk of the time and just talk a little bit about the context we work in, which is poverty in general, and then Tampa in particular. Poverty is not simple, it's a complex problem, and there's many real needs that real individuals, whole people with bodies, minds, souls, emotions that they have. And the thing is that it would be a mistake to minimize poverty to just a deficit, a lack of something, not enough to eat or not water to drink or a place to live. And this view of poverty then would encourage plans to just provide those missing things in development or social work or whatever, with the underlying assumption that when those missing things were provided, then you wouldn't be poor any longer. But poverty is more complex than that. We see needs, like real needs, like lack of shelter, water, food. And what's important for us to realize is that when we see such needs, that behind those needs are very real issues. So throughout the world, those issues might be a lack of ownership or a lack of access, like to water or something like that. So behind needs are issues, and then behind those issues often are structures. Those structures could be like systems that are in place. So like in India, for example, there's a caste system that creates real issues for real people, maybe that are outside, outcast, those systems, or lower class. In Tampa, we have laws and legislation, and behind every structure then there's ideology. This could be somebody's philosophy, maybe if it's religious, it's somebody's theology, or maybe it's just a basic cultural system or values. In our own cultural setting, our society, we're a consumer society, for example, and so we tend toward values that most value economics, and therefore devalue people that are not consumers or have no worth as far as profit is concerned. So people are deemed valueless or liabilities. As soon as they're considered to be worthless, they're considered trash. And it is because of these kind of ideologies that we live in a city that has been for some time actually legislating to make things like sharing food to people that are hungry in parks illegal, things like falling asleep in a park illegal. And we live in a place where this is happening, and so our cultural ideology does not value the most vulnerable and needy of our neighbors. So we legislate and we form structures that perpetuate the issues that very real folks in our system, in our community are dealing with. Things like not being allowed to be anywhere that you're not going to be immediately shooed off from. And so that creates real needs because you have to keep on the move. So you need shoes, or you need some water, or you need some food, or you need some shelter, you need some friends. You need a place to shower or maybe to take a piss, and there's real needs that really exist. And so because our city has been so good and so thorough at being inhospitable to our neighbors that are in need, my little crew and I, we built a place that we call The Well, striving to make a kind of oasis of hospitality. Now, we can't give everyone a home, but what we try to do is to make a safe place where folks can come and be and make themselves at home on a regular basis. So if we saw poverty as just a deficit, then we might reason that we could fix it. Like, I don't know, if you're poor, you don't have something to eat, so here's something to eat, and you're not poor anymore, or something ridiculous like that. But it's not how it works. And then we might make the mistake of trying to be like Santa Claus to people who are just passive recipients. And that would create a very real possibility of like this sick messianic complex or savior complex in the non-poor. It wouldn't be good for anyone involved, the poor or the non-poor. So you see, it's not so simple. And all of this is related to, like we talked about before, relationships. Poverty is relational. And it is a manifestation of broken relationships, and bridges have to be built. So at The Well, we're trying to embrace a different kind of ideology as a starting point from which structures will grow based on love and mercy and forgiveness and hospitality. In contrast with a world that denies the value of the poor and vulnerable among our neighbors, we place their worth and their dignity as a top priority. We're striving to see new kinds of structures emerge, what's called bridges. So like our free market, where the hungry in the community can come and find food without charge. And we did use free market intentionally, but it is exactly that, free market. Like our family room that is open to anyone to just come in and get out of the sun and have a cup of coffee and read a paper, maybe with friends and family, and feel like a human being again. Like our open mic that we call the Conscious Party, which is the first Saturday of every month, and incidentally that's tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at our place. If you guys are all welcome to come. It's a potluck dinner and an open mic. Anyway, we'd love to have you. But this is where those who are often denied a voice can come, and they have a stage and a spotlight and a microphone and can share their stories or their pains or their songs or whatever. Or like our gardens or our small fish farm, where those who are often without work and food, they can work the land and produce food and work, and where they can produce for their community as well. Or like our bike shop that is really run by men and women from the streets, that they run this little bike shop. They have tools and parts and help one another and empower each other to build what they need for transportation to get around town. Because it isn't about charity, but empowerment. And it's a place where our issues, they're relational. We learn how to forgive. Our issues are also relational, but they're how we're learning how to forgive and share and honor each other. And mend the broken relationships and mend the poverty that's really in all of us. We strive to meet needs, see bridges as in new kinds of structures built, and to see our city made whole. And so we've been inching toward this reality, and we want to invite each of you to come and join us and be there and meet these people and build relationships that can change prejudice. All of us in Tampa, all of us need to take personal responsibility for the prevailing ideologies, for the systems, and for the needs that are in our own community. And since poverty is relational, I'd like to challenge you to consider making it personal before you're worried about how to make it history. And that's it. Thank you for having me. Here's our address.